Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to be sharing with you how to cut and sew this corset. So if this is something you like, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and let's dive right into today's video.
So here is my pattern all cut out, and I'm just going to go ahead and unpin it, and I added ½ inch all the way around. So here is my center piece. For the fabric I'm working with is just a doll face for this, and I also went ahead to cut the same doll face for the lining of this dress, and I'll be joining here with ½ inch. I also added ½ inch round my pattern. Now going to the other side, I went ahead to add ½ inch also, and I'm going to open it up, keep the lining part, and I'm going to spread this open this way. So I'll be going ahead to pin it. So when you're pinning your pattern, you have to be very careful before you join the wrong part to the other side. So I'll just go ahead to pin this with my pin just to make sure I'm in order when I'm joining my pattern. After that, we'll be working with the last pattern. So I added ½ inch round except at the side, because we have already added our ½ inch for sewing allowance for this pattern. And I'll just go ahead and open it up and place it this way, and I'll pin the upper part and also pin at the other side. So I'll go ahead and stitch this down with ½ inch on the sewing machine, and you also want to repeat the same process on your lining, but the only difference is that on your lining you'll be ironing a gum stay to it. So for this also you can iron an air stay to it to give it more stability, but this is a tutorial and there's a probability I'm not going to wear it, so I just went ahead to join it with ½ inch. So here is the bustier part of this pattern. I added ½ inch all the way around, and opening it up, this is what I have. To cut out the wadding for it, I went ahead to fold this up this way, and I'm going to place. Now I'll be cutting exactly what I have at the under bust, and I'll just go ahead to add ½ inch on this part. So on top I meant to add ½ inch, but because I'm still going to trim it out, I did not add the ½ inch. And at this point I added a little and I went down after cutting it out. So this is what I have, and I'm also going to cut for the side piece. So I'll just place this way. So this is what you'll be having on your pattern, and you go ahead to iron. Now this is the lining, and I cut out gum stay for the lining also. So I'm just going to go ahead to cut out wadding for the side pattern also, and I'm just going to go ahead to unpin. I added ½ inch all the way around except the side part of the pattern. So while cutting this pattern, I'll be adding ½ inch in front. So at the upper part, I want to trace out a little, about ½ inch, so that when I'm turning this part of my bustier, because of that irregular shape we have on top, that part won't be busty. So after cutting this out, I'll also trace it out, but I'll use this to cut the other side of my pattern also, or the other part of the wadding also. So I'm going to be placing my wadding on the fabric, and at the lower part you notice that I have ½ inch left, and on top also. This is to make sure that after I'm done shaping, that part won't be bulky. So I'll just go ahead to trace out this part of my cup this way, and I'll also repeat the same process for this side. Now I'll go ahead and iron my wadding on the lining piece, and I'll also repeat it on this part place, and I'm going to be joining with ½ inch. So here is my pattern. This is my main fabric, and this is the bustier part of the pattern, and this is the lining piece. We're using the lining to turn the main fabric of the bustier part. All I'm going to do is just to go ahead to pin. After I'm done pinning, I'm going to be stitching the lower part and the upper part. I'll leave the side and I'll use it to turn it. So this is the lining part of my dress, and as you can see, I ironed open the seam allowance, so we are going to be sewing a boning at that point.
So you want to go ahead to mark your under bust first before I'll start sewing my boning. Sorry. So you can also attach your boning to the upper part, but I want mine to start from my under bust. So I've already gone ahead to cut out all my boning. What I'll do is just place, and I'll be stitching on it. So you know that part on your reddening boning that is sewable, you're going to be placing it and you're going to be stitching on the lining part. That is, you stitch the boning on the dress, and I've gone ahead to cut out the boning, so I'll just head over to the sewing machine and stitch that. So here is the bustier part. I've gone ahead to turn it and I ironed it out, and as you can see, I've sewed about 3 bonings to this, so I'll go ahead and complete the rest of the boning. And this is the main piece on it, so I've gone ahead to also iron it out also. So when you're done sewing, you'll be attaching this at the under bust part of your dress. So here is my back pattern, and I'm going to go ahead to separate it. So I'm going to start with the the first part, which is the lacing bar area. I'm going to go ahead to open it. So on this part, I joined it, my fabric was not enough, so I'm just going to unpin, open up and place, then take the second pattern and I'll go ahead to notch. So I'll be notching this part so that it will be easier for me to identify each part that is going to the other side. And I'll go ahead to take this and I will place. So I'll go ahead and I will open this other one, and I'll just go ahead to also place it. So I'll be ironing this. So whatever I do to this pattern, I'm also going to do to the lining. I'll iron gum stay on it. So if you're working with a fabric that is not so stable, go ahead and iron stay to it. So I'm just doing this for a requested video. I will not be wearing this. Also go ahead and join my lining also. So if you notice on this pattern at the thumbnail, the picture that we have there, the fabric there is actually like is folded. So I'll be sharing a brief insight on how to achieve that also. So I was actually doing it, but it is time consuming, so I had to just leave it. So first, you're going to go ahead to iron a stay to your fabric, and you're going to start picking it and you're going to be stitching it. So after doing that, you'll be placing it on your already joined fabric for the front. So this is what I mean by you're going to place it and you're going to pick it and stitch. And after picking it, you're going to have this effect, and when you're sewing this, you're going to be passing a boning into it. You're going to be passing your boning. So the part you'll be passing through the boning is you're going to cut out your boning. You notice that there's like something like a fishing line, but it's very strong. That is what you'll be using to create that effect on the dress. Or if you don't want to use that, you can go ahead and use your plastic boning. Go ahead to cut it out little, and you're going to be passing it and stitching it to create that effect. So after creating it, you're going to get your dress that you've already made and you're going to place it on it and pin it to the front part of this dress. And you can turn it as one piece for the front. So I'm just going to work with mine this way, and now I've gone ahead to join the back, and I'll be joining these together, the front and the back together. I'll go ahead, place it, and I will pin it down, and I will join and also join the other side. So after I was done joining, I went ahead to join my lining just like we did for the front part, and I added boning on it, and I pressed to open the seam allowance too. So on that boning, on the joining going to the lacing bar, I didn't add boning because my lacing bar is going to cut across it also, so I'll be adding boning to it much later. So just the way I joined my front pattern, I'm also going to join the back. So this is it. After I'm done joining, this is what I have. So this is the lining piece of my back pattern, and you can see the boning on the lining of this dress. So at this part, I didn't add a boning because of my boning, my lacing bar will be cutting across it. And at the joining at the side also, I didn't add a boning because I'll be attaching the bustier underneath this part.
So I'll just go ahead and place my main fabric on it, and I'm going to be stitching it down. So I went ahead also to iron this and to iron the seam allowance open. So now I'll be pinning this down, and your joining for the lining and the joining on the main fabric is supposed to be matching.
So after pinning this on top, I'll also go ahead and pin the lower part of this pattern. So after I'm done pinning, I'll go ahead and stitch the lower part with 1/2 inch and also at the upper part with 1/2 inch, following the shape I have at both sides. So here I'm done stitching, and I'm just going to go ahead to notch it round so that it's going to relax. After I'm done notching, I'm just going to go ahead to turn it to the right side, and I will iron it very well. So after I'm done ironing, this is what I have. I'll still go ahead to re-iron this. Now I'll be introducing this part, and I've gone ahead to fold the edge, and now I'll be placing it on my pattern. So I'm just going to go ahead to pin it, secure it with my pin before I'll go ahead to stitch. And after pinning this side, I will carefully stop stitch on this part with the same color of thread, so that you'll not be seeing it, or it won't be too visible or noticeable. I'll also go ahead and make sure that the bustier part is also meeting at the other half part of the bustier here. So I'll be pinning this. So I'll also top stitch a little where the over bust pattern is meeting the lower part. I'll just go ahead and top stitch it a little, and at the center also I'm going to go ahead to top stitch it right at this point. So there are other ways to do that you can also tack it down to the lining part, or you can just top stitch it neatly to your bustier. And while doing this, you're also going to use the same color of thread, and you're going to stitch on your joining lines so that it won't be visible. So I'll also top stitch on the other side of my cup, just like I explained at the other side, and then top stitch at the edge here also. After securing it with my pin, the next step is to top stitch. But before I'll go ahead to top stitch, I'll flip this to the back, and I'll also explain to you another method also. You can go ahead and place this and then top stitch it from the back to the lining this way. Just go ahead and do a neat stitching on it. So I'll also explain how to work on this part, so that I'll do everything at once at the machine. Now I'll go ahead and fold in with 1/2 inch this way, and I'll be top stitching at the edge. So I'll be securing this with my pin to make it easier to work with. So I'll go ahead and I'll pin till I get to the end of this side of my dress. So after that, I'll go ahead and mark about 0.5 inches for my lacing bar area, and that is the part that the first boning will pass. And on the second part, I'll mark 0.75 and mark 0.5. The 0.75 is where I'll have my eyelets, and the rest will be where I'll be having my lacing bar. So this is it. I'm done attaching, and this is what I have. Now I'll be opening up this part because I want to add my boning to it. So those two lines for your boning, you're just going to open it and pass your boning through it, and then just go ahead and top stitch. So here it is. I've gone ahead to open that part a little, and I'm passing my boning to the end, and I'll just go ahead and repeat the same process at this part. I'll just go ahead to pass my boning also. After that, I'll go ahead and top stitch at this part and insert the eyelet. So here is my pattern. I've gone ahead to insert the eyelet, and this is the final look for this dress. So if you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and join me in our next video. Thanks.